I'll be a fool to go back to my ex-boyfriend. I'll be a fool to go back.
The main suspect in the death of social media influencer Anika Slickiana Townsend has been charged with murder. In a video statement to the press on Friday, head of the St. James Police, Senior Superintendent Vernon Ellis, confirmed that Rashawn Patterson was charged following investigations and a ruling from the Office of the DPP.
The world knows her as Slickiana, a successful influencer, a fashion icon to hundreds of thousands, a brand built on confidence and charisma. She was the life of the party, a digital queen ruling her carefully curated kingdom of followers. But what if the person you see online is only half the story? What if the life they've built is just a thin shell, barely holding back a private reality filled with struggle and danger? Have you ever believed you truly knew someone, only to discover a completely different person behind their public image? This isn't just about a famous face. It's about the person behind the screen. It's about a mother, a daughter, a genuine soul who lived her truth and paid the ultimate price. What truly happened in the final moments of her life? Her last post on TikTok was a moment of hope. She was moving into a new home, a fresh start, a new beginning. She wrote the words herself.
New level. It's a new level. I'm on a new.
But those words would soon take on a heartbreaking, tragic irony. Because this new beginning would never come. On the evening of October 20th, 2022, Anika Townsend, a woman with a hopeful future, got into a car. Less than 24 hours later, her body was found floating in the waters off the coast of Reading, Jamaica. The story that followed was a modern tragedy, one that exposed a web of connections, a history of violence, and a search for justice that didn't end in a courtroom. The hunt for the man accused of her murder led police on a high-stakes chase. His past was a frightening collection of accusations and close calls with the law. But the final chapter of this case was never written in a court docket. It was written in a blaze of gunfire, ending in a way no one could have predicted. For her family, this wasn't a tragedy, it was a release. What truly happened in the final moments of her life, and why did the end of her story, and the end of her alleged killer's story, come not in a verdict, but in a final, violent act? Before we proceed into the details of this powerful story, remember to hit that like button to help this story reach more people who need to hear it. It helps us bring more true crime stories to light. Welcome to True Crime Footprint, where we unveil the darkest mysteries and the most terrifying true crime tales. Kindly hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our new stories. Your support keeps these stories alive. To her hundreds of thousands of followers, she was a brand. Anika Townsend, the online celebrity known as Slickiana, commanded an audience of nearly 320,000 on Instagram alone. She was a brand ambassador, a fashion influencer, and an entrepreneur who built her own businesses, a line of eyelash extensions, and her online clothing store, Slick Pieces J. Her digital life was a curated display of success, fashion, and self-made ambition. She was the very image of a modern, successful public figure. But away from the spotlight, there was a different person. Anika was a mother, a woman with a history of her own, known to her loved ones as a genuine soul from Waterloo Road in St. Andrew Parish. She was described by a close friend as someone who lived in her truth, who was very much open about her past and her life and her past struggles. This was a person who shared meals with her mother and celebrated birthdays with family, grounding her in a reality far removed from the digital stage. Her human dimension was what made the immense loss felt by her community so profound. Just days before her disappearance, Anika posted a video on TikTok. It showed her moving into a new home. She captioned it with 3 words, "New beginning." It was a statement of hope, a look toward a brighter future. It was a statement that would soon take on a heartbreaking, tragic irony. Because this new beginning would never come. The last hours of Annika Townsend's life were a journey. On Thursday, October 20th, 2022, she traveled from her home in Kingston to Montego Bay, St. James. At approximately 7:30 p.m., she was picked up by Rushan Patterson. The police would later reconstruct their route, charting their movements across parishes. They visited a restaurant in Hanover and a guest house in St. James. But somewhere along that route, the atmosphere shifted. At some point during the night, an argument began between the two of them. It was a confrontation that would turn fatal. Just before 9:30 a.m. the next morning, a call came into the authorities. Beachgoers had made a horrific discovery. Floating face down in the ocean waters off the coast of Reading, St. James Parish, was the body of a woman. It was retrieved by Marine police, and later that day, Annika's mother would confirm her identity. At the scene, investigators collected a wig and a blood-covered towel. Preliminary findings suggested she had sustained wounds to her neck and head. The world was now watching a missing persons case transform into a homicide investigation. But the initial reports were just the beginning. The formal post-mortem examination, conducted weeks later, provided the definitive answer. The official cause of death was determined to be strangulation. The time of death was estimated to be between the late evening hours of October 20th and the morning of October 21st. The timeline was now clear. A life had been taken violently. A name was now attached to the case. The police had a timeline, a body, and a clear cause of death. But the man who was with her on that final night, he was already gone. With a body identified and a person of interest named, the Jamaica Constabulary Force moved swiftly. A public plea was issued for Rushan Patterson to surrender. He failed to appear, and soon, a high-level police operation was underway. Working with multiple specialized units, police used forensic and technological evidence to track his movements. On November 2nd, 2022, they finally located and arrested him at a guest house. Just over a week later, following an extensive investigation, Patterson was formally charged with murder. The search for justice had begun, but as the details of the investigation came to light, a disturbing history began to surface.
Up first this evening, the main suspect in the death of social media influencer Annika Townsend has been charged with murder. In a video statement to the press on Friday, head of the St. James Police, Senior Superintendent Vernon Ellis, confirmed that Rushan Patterson was charged following investigations and a ruling from the Office of the DPP.
Thursday, October 20th, Ms. Townsend traveled from Kingston to Montego Bay, where she was picked up by Patterson at approximately 7:30 p.m. During the course of the evening, they visited a restaurant in Hanover and a guest house in St. James. At some point in the night, an argument developed between them, which resulted in Ms. Townsend being strangled by Patterson and her body disposed.
SSP Ellis says a security guard has also been charged with imprison of felony in relation to the murder. Patterson was arrested last week, Wednesday, at a guest house in Hanover. He was charged the following day with abduction and assault occasioning bodily harm in relation to a 2018 matter involving a Kingston woman. But SSP Ellis says there's more.
As it is suspected that Mr. Patterson may have been involved in other incidents similar to those for which he has been charged. As a result, detectives are appealing to the public for any information that may assist.
It was revealed that Rushan Patterson had been accused of violent acts against women before. In a 2018 case, he was charged with a physical assault that was reportedly carried out in a fit of rage. That case was later dismissed. But an even more serious allegation existed from 2013. Local media reported that Patterson was eyed as a suspect in a brutal attack where a male victim was shot and killed, and a female victim was raped before having her throat slashed. She survived and later identified him from a police lineup. However, the Crown declined to prosecute after the witness could not be contacted for court. This documented past points to a profound and painful reality, that a pattern of violence can sometimes exist in the shadows, unchecked by the legal system. For anyone experiencing domestic violence, please know that you are not alone. There are resources available and people who want to help you. You are seen, you are heard, and your story matters. If you're finding this story compelling, please consider subscribing. It helps us bring more of these important stories to light. The question now wasn't just, did he do it? But how many others had he done this to? And why was he allowed to walk free for so long? The stage was set for a trial that would finally bring these questions to a public forum, or so everyone thought. The prosecution had built a case against Rushion Patterson, but the road to trial was long and uncertain. On at least 3 occasions, bail was denied to the accused, with police expressing concern that he posed a continued threat to the public and was a flight risk. The justice system seemed to be holding firm. But in a sudden and unexpected turn, on July 16, 2024, Patterson was finally granted bail. His attorney argued it was necessary on humanitarian grounds, citing his medical condition, hemophilia. The man accused of Annika's murder was free, at least temporarily, to await his day in court. That day would never come. On a Tuesday in October 2024, while out on bail, Rushion Patterson was shot and killed by police. According to the Hanover Police Division's commanding officer, Superintendent Andrew Nish, the incident occurred during an intelligence-led targeted operation in the Dundee Pen area. Patterson was shot, injured, and pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital.
Hello, I'm Jovan Johnson. Rushion Patterson, who is accused of the 2022 murder of social media influencer Annika Slickiana Townsend, was shot dead by the police during an alleged confrontation in Hanover on Tuesday morning. Mr. Patterson, who was linked to other crimes, was out on bail.
The formal legal process, the long-awaited trial that was meant to provide answers and a verdict, was brought to a stunning and final end. For Annika's family, this was not a tragic outcome. For her mother, Joy Smith, it was the only justice that mattered. After hearing the news, she and other relatives went to her daughter's graveside at Dovecot Cemetery to celebrate. Her words to a reporter were a raw and unfiltered expression of a mother's grief and relief. "I finally got justice," she said, adding, "Me never want to rejoice over a death, but this death here, me happy rejoice." Her statement was a powerful signal of a family's loss of faith in a slow and sometimes uncertain legal process, and their preference for an immediate, absolute form of finality.
My personal feeling, me not go rejoice over a death. Me not go rejoice over a death, but as a mother know say, him kill my daughter, me feel good him dead.
Still, she explained that part of her was hoping she would have got a chance to question the alleged killer, since she says her daughter's murder remains a mystery.
Why? Just that question I want to ask. Why you have to kill her? Why?
It's believed the social media influencer was strangled and her body dumped in the sea in St. James. It's been 2 years and 4 months. Miss Smith says she was beginning to get frustrated at the length of time it was taking for the case to be tried. When Patterson last appeared in court, the matter had to be adjourned because he was ill.
From 20 to 22, and the case had dragged out so long. Him go court the 31st of January, and he put her back till we are the 15th of October. I mean, it's so long. And the police have said, them are prep for trial.
The danger in these relationships can be hard to see from the outside, but patterns of control, isolation, and threats are red flags. Your safety and well-being are paramount. The case of Annika Slickiana Townsend is more than a single crime. It is a story that reveals the stark difference between a public life lived in the open and a private one full of hidden struggles. It's a look at a legal system that, at times, can seem unable to protect its most vulnerable. And it is a powerful reminder of the deep, human need for closure. A closure that, for her family, came not from a court, but from a dramatic and final act outside of the law. The case of Slickiana wasn't a story of a court, or a jury, or a final verdict. It was the story of a mother who lost her daughter. A mother who, after a long and agonizing wait, finally got justice. No, seriously, she finally got justice. Rewatch this story, and you might catch something you missed. Perhaps a moment where the clues to his true nature were already there, waiting to be seen. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you were moved by Annika's story, like this video to honor her memory, share it with those who need to hear it, and subscribe to True Crime Footprint so you don't miss our next investigation. Our hearts ache for Slickiana's family. Words feel inadequate, but please know you are held in deepest sympathy and prayers. May you find strength and comfort in the memories of Slickiana. Thank you for watching, for your attention, and for joining us on this journey of reflection. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and above all, stay safe. See you on our next video.